do not hold the childcare providers responsible. What I think was laudable was that they were building into their plans opportunities to support kiddos in accessing their remote learning. So, for example, Shelley's going to talk a little bit about what that looks like. And one of the components is the attendance component. We still have to demonstrate that those students who are remote are attending. We have responsibilities in statute to attendance. And so Shelley's going to talk to you about the ways that we are monitoring attendance on remote days. That's what the child care providers have been interested in supporting us with, is knowing what those are and building in times into a student's schedule when they're at the daycare, at the child care, so that they can meet those requirements for attendance. So Shelley, you want to take that a little bit further and paint that picture a little more clearly?
Sure. So some of the requirements of our remote and hybrid learning plans are to address some things like Michelle said, like attendance, grading the plan, and the way that there would be contact, and what the expectations have to be clear to families and students for their remote learning time. So the conversation we've had about attendance, and this was confirmed by some information that I got in a meeting yesterday with the DOE, that there is some flexibility in terms of what districts can consider as for attendance evidence during a remote day. So things that we built into our plan, which seem to still be holding water, are things like students being engaged in the platform for remote learning. So students submitting work through Google Classroom or accessing videos. Teachers can see that students have done that. It gives them information about who's participated in a platform. And so that could be evidence of attendance. We've talked about things like having Zoom morning meetings in elementary school so that the teacher connects with the students on their remote days. And we have talked a lot about schedules. So I had a great conversation with Scott Anier just this morning maybe, about the work they're doing at the high school to talk about the way that they plan for remote learning days. And they're using the term like weekly learning plans. So it would be time in class the 2 days, and then students would have a very clearly articulated plan for their learning on the days that they're remote. And that would include engaging with content in some way, shape, or fashion, maybe a recorded lesson, maybe a Khan Academy video, maybe reading something, maybe listening to something. And then they would take that content and engage with it in some way. So there'd be expectations such as that laid out for every week. And that's the work we've been doing in elementary as well.
As well as Pro AV, as that
Correct.
quickly comes online.
Correct.
Okay.
So can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
That was high school. So my daughter's going into 8th grade. She's on the Monday, Tuesday plan. Mm-hmm. My presumption is Monday and Tuesday she would get live instruction. And right. Then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, she's on her own.
She is, Wednesday, I think Wednesday they are planning to build in teacher-student contact. And what we have been talking about is whether on the remote days, when I said morning meeting, that was more like an elementary reference. So right. Would there be a Zoom homeroom or what do they call it, a core at the middle school, or morning meeting in elementary? And then yes, unless we were using Pro AV in that classroom, then she would have content that she interacted with and assignments to be done during her remote days. So it'd be similar to what I said for the high school. There would be a weekly learning plan.
And the chat box is, the chat for those of you who are not able to see, although I think everyone should be able to see the chat, is that, there are genuine daycare concerns out there. I've gotten a few private messages, about thinking outside the box. And I'm not looking to solve, but our high school kids are also in cohorts. So, they've got to do some volunteering. I don't know if at some point, in the next, I don't know, Auburn School Department, I don't want to throw something else at you and be accused of lobbing something else your way, but I think we need to take care of our community, and I think we need to work as collaboratively as possible. So, and yes, this breaks, this exposes kids. I've said it before, I think our kids are safest with us instead of coming to school Monday, Tuesday, grandma's Wednesday, a date at somebody else, a buddy's friend on Thursday, and a few Walmart trips thrown in between. I understand that we need I understand that I am looking at this packet of work, but it doesn't work out in my head either. But I know we can't lose subsidy, and I know we can't lose monies, and we've got to get our kiddos in here as much as we can and as best as we can. So is there anyone else who would like public comment before I ask for a vote?
Brian and Pam both have.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions. We're talking about with the smaller kids, kindergarten, basically up through 7th grade. That we're talking about, well, we can find, daycares for these kids. We can get afternoon services for them. So basically what we're doing is we're trading school for a daycare or another program. Will they be taking the kids in cohorts? Will they be accepting kids? And has the state waived the parent or the caregiver to kid ratio for that? And now, my other issue is sort of like Dave's. We're doing this. The parents are paying their taxes to do this. Now we're telling them, oh, by the way, go out and get a daycare and you can pay for that too. I'm like Karen. I feel better with them being where we can watch them in the schools instead of spreading them all over, because I know good and well that you're not going to get the same 12 kids into the same daycare, because everybody in town is looking to put their kid in a daycare. And we're mixing, we're matching, we're crisscrossing, where if we keep them in school, we know where they're at.
Well, I mean, to your point, Brian, that's why, even though when we bring sports to a vote, I'm going to vote for it. I think the kids have paid the biggest price of anyone, but that's why sports can't work based on the logic of whomever makes the rules. Because like you had that experience with the gully, I go down the EL run on the EL track, and there's 50, 60 different kids. Geez, my own kids out there playing hoops all the time. So it's like this is not, none of my comments today has anything to do with Auburn schools, Auburn teachers. My anger is not against any of that. It's that it's so late in the game to do this. To your point, Karen, that you made probably an hour ago, we're wasting, we're venting, I'm venting, because there's nothing we can do except for challenge the constitutionality of the executive order, which I would love to see someone do, but I'm sure that we won't do that either.
Yeah, we're basically responding to blackmail.
Well, I don't know what it is, but it's so late in the game for this. It's not fair to anyone. But the teachers, the kids, the families, there's no winners here. And the one thing we haven't talked about at all, or very minimally in this conversation today, is education. Right.
Which is why I think we're trying to bring up the piece of the remote learning. What will that look like? We know the kiddos will be in school 2 days. How is the curriculum amended? Is it watered down? Is it or does it? All right. So at this time, it's just really the log's not there. Yes, absolutely.
From all the emails that we've been getting for the past 3 weeks, and all the people who've been talking, and all the educators, and the fact that I know that one of the reasons we wanted the 4-day option was that for some of our marginalized children, those who have food insecurity, was a concern. And then when I hear from teachers that these are the kids that are being put in classes that are 3 feet apart, where they're not going to get their breakfasts or their snacks or their lunches because they can't take their mask off, that's a concern of mine. So I know that this is about contact tracing, which I agree with, but I do think that we need to have the best the students, the concerns of the students at front of everything. And I've never agreed with the 3-foot rule. I don't know why. I've always been confused with the fact that 6 feet is the norm everywhere else but a school, and I don't understand that. That's very confusing to me, and I find that it has created so much of a gray area, and it's just made it even harder. I agree this is at the 11th hour. I think also putting out the 4-1 plan was at the 11th hour when it was at the second reading of the hybrid plan. The past 3 weeks have created a lot of anger, a lot of animosity, a lot of anxiety for parents, for teachers, for kids, for us. And I feel that no one will be happy. I never knew, I always thought I always knew going in this that no one would be happy. I just didn't want to anger everybody. And I feel like that's what we've done. And I really, my biggest concern is I want those kids to come in. I want them to feel comfortable. I want them to be able to take their masks off if they need to. I don't want them to be sitting 3 feet apart. And, and I understand the whole sports thing. And I understand the whole daycare thing. Unfortunately, this is a pandemic. And the responsibility of children and being put in this issue is not on the schools themselves. We keep talking about daycare and schools, and for so many years we have put the responsibility of so many things on the school system. There's the only accountability is to schools, and I'm sorry, but as a community, we need to respond to the fact that parents need daycare. It does not need to be the school's responsibility. I just don't feel that it is the school's responsibility to do that. I feel that as a community, we can come together. Employers can come together and say, you know what? This is an issue. This is a pandemic. This needs to be we need to find a solution that helps everybody. And as a community, we all know each other. We may not know each other well, but we all, this is a big town, but we are a small community. And I'm sorry, but all of this past 3 weeks, the anger, the animosity, the anxiety, it saddens me because we all know each other and we're all a community. And when this is over, we are still going to be living here and amongst each other. And we really need to come together with this. We just need to find common ground and to come together and to help each other. It's a pandemic. We need to help each other, not anger each other and be at each other's throats. This is a collaboration. We all need to work together. Sorry, I just needed to say that.
Thank you, Pam. A good voice of reason right there. And now it's time for the community to step up. So and for all of us to really step up in the best way we can. So thank you, Pam, for that. All right, with that, we're gonna do roll call right now. Let's do the vote. Pam, Ward 2.
Yes.
The motion, let me remind you, the motion on the table is to, in short condensed, is to offer only 2 plans, hybrid or full remote. Pam?
Yes.
Ward 4?
No, based on the premise that I don't think pre-K through 2 should be 3 days of independent learning.
Right. Ward 5?
Yes.
Faith Fontaine at large?
Yes, but I think our hands are tied. I don't think we really have a choice. I'm not sure why we have to vote, but.
Dave Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Kerr?
No.
And I am a yes. Ward 3, yes. So motion passes 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5-2. Superintendent Brown, do you have the same?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the motion carries. So we are able to only offer 2 options for our families. All right, at this point, public participation, I am waiving public participation. Comments have been coming in along the side, so this is a special meeting, so I'm not entertaining public participation for other things outside of what was on the agenda for tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to watch, and please, I'm just going to publicly say this, but bombarding us with disappointment. I mean, with emails, we know, we know. I would like to see the Auburn School Department really just be able to take their next steps forward in what needs to happen. So, and I'm not, I've been accused of lots of things on social media. So hopefully this will come to an end as well. I'm just going to publicly state that as well, that your Facebook pages that have been put out there that have really just been so unbelievably inappropriate and disrespectful towards those of us who are volunteering our time and doing the best we can up here with the information that we have. We would genuinely, truly appreciate the brutality to end. I think, as Pam spoke, we're a community. We need to come together, and that's just not the way to do it. So that needs to end. So with that being said, I've been entertaining.
One more thing, and I'll be very brief, Karen. And to Pam's point, it's completely appropriate for us everybody on this call, to be upset at the timing of this information that's external to the school committee, to the staff, to this community. This was done to us. And if we can pull together in the next 2 weeks to meet the needs of this community, I hope we can do that. Count me in on that work team. But this isn't about teachers. This isn't about families. This was done to us at the 13th hour, the 23rd hour, whatever it's called. Yeah. And
Yes.
Please.
Yeah, at this point, the brutality and the bullying just needs to end. It's just done. Move forward and get this figured out. And we will do everything in our power to help out. So with that, I'd like to entertain, it's 4:50, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Second. Thank you, Dan Poisson. I don't have you all in front of me, so I'm going to do roll call. Ward 2, do you agree to the motion to adjourn the meeting?
Yes.
Ward 3 is a yes. Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Faith Fontaine?
Yes.
Dave Simpson?
Yes.
And Brian Carrier.
Yeah.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn. Thank you, everyone.